Have you ever asked yourself and taken a full look at the scope of your life and just said, what is my story? What are the critical moments in your life that have brought you to where you are today? What are your deepest desires? What are your deepest regrets? Did you notice I just asked you 4 questions? There's a reason. 10 years ago, I found myself in a very precarious situation. I found myself in the middle of a divorce with 3 young children and having to make some really difficult decisions. And while I'd been running my marketing company for several years from home, I wasn't making nearly enough money to support myself, much less my 3 children. So I had to decide, am I going to go to work for someone else and give up the flexibility and the time I have with my kids? Or am I going to take a risk and figure this out on my own and grow my business? Well, thank God I have this amazing family who is supportive and encouraged me, and actually a mother-in-law at the time who took me by the hand and dragged me out to look at office space. And before I knew it, I had an office, I had a couple of employees, and I was wondering, how in the heck am I going to do this? You know? Now I've taken action, I've put things into place, and I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. I've got bills to pay now. I have employees to support. I have rent to pay, and I need clients. Help! So I had another question that I asked myself. Am I going to cave into the fear at this moment? Or am I going to take it on and make it happen? Well, that was 10 years ago. Thankfully, I'm here today and answered some of those questions, and by the grace of God and my faith and perseverance was able to pay the bills, pay my employees, and lights are still on. So, but now I took a look at those questions and just analyzed that. When I didn't have the answers, those questions are what really took me to the next stage. I didn't have all the answers. But the beauty of not having the answers is that you have questions. And in that space of not knowing, there are limitless possibilities. And so my question to you is, as a leader, what can questions do for you? What can questions do to move you forward in your business, in your family, in your community, with your friends, with those you love and who are important to you and those who you want to help in this world? For me, I took question asking into my business. I started with my employees. Let's take employee reviews, for example. Employee reviews for me, it's always one of those very awkward situations where I feel like I'm pitted against my employees. They're there, I'm here, just awkward. I feel like I'm having to judge them, and it's uncomfortable. So I decided to turn it around, and I said, well, instead of me judging them and giving them feedback, what if I ask them the questions? What if I ask them to assess their own performance? And so I tried it. And lo and behold, what do you know? These people are brilliant. I mean, they know more about their jobs than I do. They're the ones living the job. They're the ones, day in, day out. I'm seeing from the peripheral here, but I don't see what's going on inside of the job every single day. And so what it did is it opened up the conversation, and it brought me closer to them. It created, just a bond there, and openness and authenticity. And so now, I'm learning a lot more about what they're doing, what the trials they're experiencing. I'm learning more about our processes. I have insights that I never imagined I would have before by asking them the questions and having them give the feedback. And so I'm learning, all kinds of things about client relationships and getting really deep into the essence of the work that we do. In the same regard, when it comes to our clients, I've started approaching that as an inquiry as well. And I have a marketing company, and so in marketing, you want to ask those questions. And asking the questions of your clients, you get a wealth of information. They know so much more than they think they do. They come to me a lot of times, not sure, not knowing, but then starting to ask the questions, they have all the answers. They're just sometimes buried inside, and they're just not confident with the answers. And digging down deep, asking those questions really allows you to get to the heart of the matter. And they start expressing themselves really authentically, which is brilliant, because then we're able to go and we're able to think outside the box. And so my team can get super creative around their authentic self and what their needs really are and the problems that they're facing, and able to connect them with their audience in a really powerful, impactful way. So that's just been amazing. So questions. I started going deeper into questions and asked myself, what if I, personally took on questions and started asking questions about myself? What would that look like? Would I be willing to hear the answers? It's always fascinated me how, while we are ourselves, we can't see ourselves. We can look into a mirror and we see a reflection, right? You can get a photograph and video, and that's just a two-dimensional representation of yourself. But we don't see ourselves the way that the world sees us. We don't see ourselves how our family or friends or other people see us. So what does that look like if we ask ourselves those questions to get to know ourselves and really be open to the conversation? What does that look like? Now, when it comes to my clients, for example, and employees, I had to start approaching them without judgment, very openly, just in the listening and just being present and in the listening with no judgment. Because that judgment, like we judge ourselves so often, it puts up that wall. And all of a sudden, instead of seeing who we really are, we're seeing a distortion, like there's a fog in the mirror and a distorted view of ourselves. And so lifting that judgment of ourselves, not only others, but ourselves as well, allows us to get a better perspective and see how we are and how we are occurring to other people as well. So, my question to you is, what is your story? What are your desires? Are you willing to ask yourself those questions that will break through your preconceived notions of who you're supposed to be, of who others expect you to be, and get down to the matter of what your purpose is, who you are supposed to be in this world, who you are intended to reach out and touch, who you're supposed to make an impact for? Those questions are powerful. And so I invite you to ask those questions, to look at your life from the other side, flip it around. Instead of making yourself have the answers, requiring yourself to have the answers all the time, ask the questions instead. My name is Leeanne Rambin, and my mission is to inspire the journey to your success. I am a business coach and own Empire Creative Marketing. You can reach me at empiread.com. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Leeanne!